Hello again, and welcome to another episode of High Ground Financial Freedom Podcast, the Freedom Podcast, where we take interesting individuals who are doing something great in life and they just want to share knowledge, share information, and just move this world forward. In the polarized world that we live in, it's always good to get some positivity in your life. And today, we are bringing Command Sergeant Major Donald Glover. And Command Sergeant Major Glover at the time, he was a student at the Sergeant Major Academy where I was teaching in the Department of Command Leadership. And he stood out as one of, not going to say the best, but I am going to say the best students. And he was just crushing things in life. And we've stayed in touch over the years. And he's done some things in my life that I want to talk about. But for the listeners and the viewers that do not know you, Command Sergeant Major Glover, brother, share away.
Well, first, Dwayne, I just want to say thank you for having me on your podcast. And it does really do mean a lot to me to be here. I had a privilege of actually learning back from you at the Sergeant Academy. So this feel like a full circle moment to me back then when I was a student, soaking in the knowledge. And now I have the opportunity to actually share my own journey and reflect. It's also humbling. And, it's moments like that remind me why it's important to treat people with dignity and respect, because you never know the path that you'll cross again. And life has brought me back around again. That's why I always stay humble, open-minded, but also never thinking myself for better than anyone else. And at the end of the day, we are all people, we are leaders, and we are still learning. So, it's been great for me, a career that I've had. So being on to go to the Sergeant Academy has been a great thing that most people probably never get a chance to experience throughout the military career. Yeah.
Okay, so let's start off to talk about your career before we get into anything else. How has that been? How many years have you served so far?
Well, this will be my 30th year.
Yeah. Man, congratulations. Thanks for your service. 30 years. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then what is your current position?
Command Sergeant Major for 18th Combat Sustainment Support Battalion.
Okay. And what is your current MOS?
92 Zulu.
And for the listeners and the viewers that don't understand what the MOS is, that's your military occupational specialty. It's your job. It's your profession. Because in the Army, we do call them jobs, occupations, but it's more of a profession. It's something that you spend your career diving and putting all of your energy in. And it is said that when you spend 10,000 hours or more on something, you become a true expert at it. Well, I will tell you, with 30 plus years of time, this gentleman has spent 10,000 hours plus. So you are considered an expert in your craft and what you do. So what are some of your biggest challenges?
Well, first, Dwayne, man, I think my biggest challenge was always recognizing the potential that I had. Often early in my career, I actually didn't thought very much of myself. And from being prior service, retired now, that as a service member, we often struggle for different parts in our career. I had multiple setbacks, reduction in rank, and just how you actually overcome those things and still continue to be positive and make a difference in soldiers' lives. So to me, I think just being a humble individual has been like not the most challenging thing, but also being able to actually recognize the things we do, we serve more than just ourselves. So just being a humble individual has really been one of those things that has actually challenged me, especially as moving up in the rank. It actually exposes you as leaders at the same time too. Yeah.
Yeah, I understand that, being humble. And going through something like a rank reduction, has that given you a different light when you're working with soldiers who are also going through certain challenges, like your young E5s or E4s and below?
Oh, yeah. So for me, being in that position multiple times in my career, oh, yeah. So I understand when a soldier's actually going through, just UCMJ. And no one knows the outcome. And most time as a soldier, you worry about what is going to be the outcome. Understand it, but you still have to accept that a responsibility of that you had some responsibility in that act, but understanding the people that actually are important in a certain position, you will hope that they are able to understand, judge you fairly, and still be treated with dignity and respect without actually, downplaying a soldier, while also giving the soldier some encouragement. But for me, going through that challenging is every soldier that faces that, I sit them down and see what they're thinking, because understanding being in that position is not a great place, especially if you're married, you got kids. That just add more to your problems that most people don't tend to understand. We got the regulations that we cover by, but the regulation is black and white, but the regulation is not human. So each case, you judge based off that soldier, not a previous case that you had, or even if two soldiers had similar acts, you don't judge them off the same, because each one is different. So in my position, I'm able to actually have that type of influence on my commander, that human effect, that understanding that soldiers does make mistakes. It's not a career ender. And some soldiers are actually redeemable and some are not. But you get a soldier the fair shake to actually redeem themselves. So not a great place in a soldier's career, but long as I always tell the commander, as long as you support that individual, regardless of what he or she has done, most soldiers are able to actually rebound. It's the one that don't get the support and they feel that they don't have any other way to turn to. So to that perspective of being able to relate to those soldiers and have that human dynamic to it actually helps, some of the wounded as well. Yeah.
No, that's good, man. I'm glad that you actually look at each case individually and let the soldiers know it's not a career ender. And at the end of the day, young people are going to make mistakes. They're supposed to make mistakes. You're not going to learn how to ride a bicycle by staying on a bicycle. You learn how to ride a bicycle by understanding I need to balance myself so I don't fall left and right. When I squeeze the brakes, I don't squeeze the brakes too hard. If I'm going to go fast and squeeze the brake, I'm going to squeeze the back brake. You learn how to ride a bike by making mistakes. Same thing in a career. If there's a career that you're putting all this energy into, you want to make your mistakes and be held accountable for your mistakes, but not be judged by your mistakes and future things that you do. And so that's great that you have conversations with your commander and that you both have the mindset to, again, influence people in a positive way after they've gone through something, because it's not a career. Some of these things are not a career ender. Now, when you're talking drugs, sexual assault, things like that, how do you all handle those situations?
Like I said, each of them, as we look at it, each of them individual acts, right? And before, they always say most of the time the soldiers are already guilty just by association or the act, but there's often you have to let the investigation play itself out before you even think about judging the soldier, to make the process fair across the board, regardless of how it may seem on the surface, because you're going to hear people talking, but you cannot let that cloud your judgment, because that's unfair to both parties, the victim and the accuser. So you allow the system as to play itself out to understand that both parties had a fair shake, and whatever outcome comes from it, then you proceed with whatever punishment or whatever it is after the fact, but never ever jump to conclusion before you know the whole story. Often people tend to talk about the story before they even know the complete story. I often tell my guys, if you don't know the story, you stay quiet, because you got multiple people involved with the situation and you don't know what the outcome may be. And you don't want to prejudge anything. Now the soldier that was accused come to find out the accusation was not true. Now the damage is already done. So we try to keep it as pure and as fair as can be, even though you're going to have those individuals that's actually going to talk about something that they really don't know the whole story about. So it's each individual one you take, and each of those cases are very serious. So you want to make sure the victim also feel some kind of safe, and also the accuser, that individual is also feeling that I'm getting a fair shake. And that, I think that's one way of actually helping the whole situation, by keeping all parties at a bay, that we didn't say who did or who did not did what, or whose side we taking. We go pure evidence and what's name, and let that be the defining factor, not before anything, Dwayne. Yeah.
No, that's good, because you don't want to be cookie cutter. It's not a cookie cutter situation. Just because you can have two individuals that committed the exact same act, the outcome may or may not necessarily be exactly the same. So that's good, man. I mean, I appreciate that humility. I appreciate that sharing that knowledge, and you're definitely the right fit because you're consistently moving up. Now let's talk about your family. And where and your station where at now?
I'm in Grafenville, Germany.
Germany, man. Is it nice over there?
Define nice.
Nice as, I mean, you know, the poles,
Yeah.
the outside, outside the poles. Do you take advantage of it, like the visiting different places?
Yeah, so with my schedule, Dwayne, like for the wife and kids, they do get a lot of see of Germany. For me, staying on the road, because I got units spread out through Germany, so going and coming back home after long road trips, it's exhausting. But I still have to make time for the family, even though sometimes I'd be like, man, I'm tired. I've been on this road. I just like to sleep in my bed once. But you know, you still have to be able to put your family, because they didn't sign up for this. So you have to, it's that work-life balance that you have to actually figure out. How do you actually do that, especially in this position I sit in? It's like, it's not an easy one to balance because everybody wants your attention. You just have to be able to have that balance of what is much more important. Is it, you know, that job, or is it the family? And, you know, both of them, because the job provides your, you know, your resources and stuff to be able to supply for your family, but also your family is the one that actually going to support you, even when we take this uniform off, you know. So you have to be able to balance it. It's not easy, you know. So this last 2 years has been like a real juggle of family dynamics and actually still keeping core with my career at the same time. It's just finding a happy balance. Even though some days I don't feel like it, I understand that your family is always going to be there, even when your career ends. You know, yes.
No, that's good because I mean, it's always said, and I'm sure you've heard this: the only people that are going to know how late you work and how hard you work and how much time you spent at work is going to be your family. That's the only people that's going to truly remember. And that's good that you spend that energy and that time keeping that balance there, because it is a balance. It's a juggling act. You have the work that you have to put time into, but then you also have to put time into your family. And you have to bring that back together, because you say, okay, well, I'm going to focus on my family. Well, then you're going to suffer at the job. But if I focus on my job, then I'm going to, you know, over here, my family's going to suffer. So that's great that you are keeping that dynamic together. And that's why you've been successful. Do you continue to stay in after 30?
No, I think I got one more PCS, and then I'm going. My next duty station is back at Fort Bragg. Basically, where my career started off at prior Marine Corps, and so after 30 years, I left the Army to decide to do something different. You know, I think, you know, when it's time to hang the hat up. You know, I love this. I love serving in the military, but you know, I think now I'm at a place in my life, you know, the biggest thing that's driving where I stay in is my religion, man. And that is like the core thing that actually has really, really taken core in how I actually live my life, is grounding myself in that of my faith, and, you know, allowing God to continue directing each of my steps and not worrying about will I serve or will I not serve. And that's the way I live my life there, Dwayne, is allowing him to direct me. And from there, I know a lot of people don't like talking about the religion, but religion and my faith plays a lot in my career, basically how my career has been shaped. So I give everything around that of my faith and religion is what guide my guiding principles. Yeah.
Well, as you continue to look at my other podcasts, you're going to see that on the High Ground Financial Freedom podcast, the Freedom Podcast, we share our faith. We're very strong in that. And it's okay if someone doesn't want to talk about it, they do want to talk about it. At the end of the day, it's how they perceive it. And that leads me right into when you were my student and we had a chance to work together, because nobody worked for me. We served together, okay, as team members. And right when you left, I started getting these texts. I started getting all these texts. And so I started getting these spiritual texts with quotes, all these texts. And I was like, that's cool. And the thing is, when you get texts from people, the concerning part is it's great, but will it continue? Because as humans, we are creatures of habit. And something positive every day, something positive. And we're going on, let me see, we're talking 2021,
No, actually, it
2020,
was
20,
2020,
2020, yeah, 2020. And we're going on 2020, the end of 2025. And every day I've gotten a text. I'm
Yeah.
just like, this guy has not stopped. Every day I've gotten a text, something spiritual to read, and then something positive following up behind that. And you are a command sergeant major in the Army. And I'm going to tell you, I don't know if you realize how amazing that has been for me, that I wake up and I see that 910. And I know behind that 910, I'm going to be receiving something throughout that day. And so where does that inspiration come from to constantly and consistently? And then I want to know how many other people you're texting, but where does that inspiration come from to share all of that knowledge?
Well, I mean, back in 2015, Dwayne, I had a life-changing experience. Being stationed at Fort Bragg for about almost like 14 years of my career. And what happened, you get to Fort Bragg and you start drinking the Kool-Aid and you thinking that's all the military offer. But it wasn't until I actually left in 2015 and actually went up to the Pentagon. And that was like the very first time in my career that I really was by myself. And what happened is, when you really start focusing on God, he actually gets your attention to a place where now he has your attention and you're solely focused on him. Even though I know my wife and kids were back at Bragg, but just being in that place by myself, not really knowing anyone, but trusting in him and just allowing him to use me in such a way. And it's just one day it started off with just a few texts here, a few texts there. And before you know it, it morphed into something bigger. So every person that I come in contact with, I started just adding them to my groups, but it was also something that God was doing with me, like, because it wasn't a struggle. It was like God was using me in a way that I'd never seen before. And it wasn't for my own amusement. It was basically God was using me in a way that the life that I live, like, people always count you out. And I'm like, man, he allowed me to interpret the Bible. Words come to me in ways that it never came to me before. And I just had to share with other people that probably share some of the same struggles I did, but often didn't know how to actually deal with it. So through the scriptures and the different verses and, all the stuff, it was able to actually was enlightened. And I became better with it. It became like my purpose. I found my purpose, man. And it wasn't that I got tired. You start doing things and you get tired for a moment. I'm done with this stuff here. But it was just this consistency of spreading the word that often was get distorted, or people use it for their own personal gains. I didn't see that as a personal gain. It was just my purpose of sharing some great things that God has done, but also sharing his word, because someone can always use a word of encouragement, even if they don't know you. But you can also, you open that door and it often reveal who people truly is it something for me? And for me, I never saw it as, oh, look what I'm doing. No, it was what God was doing with me to be able to share with other people, give them some uplifting, because everybody, I'm telling you, everyone needs some uplifting.
Right, you're right.
Regardless of how solid a person may be, you can always use something encouraging. But also, it's a way of God actually uses people. And there's always, we talk about in the religions, God, you have a call on yourself, call on your life, but you also have an assignment. They're never the same. That calling is what you were called to be. The assignment is what God sets you out to actually do for a set period or whatever it is. And when you're done with it, you are no. So, God still has his hand on me and allowing me until something else changes in my life, or God says, Donald, stop what you're doing. I will continue. And, and some people often used to get upset and why are you sending me this? And often they used to get discouraged and and some people were thinking, oh, you're playing games or whatever it is. But most people that I contact with, make contact with, they enjoy, it does something not just for the spirit, but also for, I know that's another person that's having another connection with God. And God just uses me as that vessel, after a set time. So until something else changed in my life, like that has been like on my core, that has been like a great part of my life. Like, man, and it has gotten better over time. Like man, and I said sometime to go back and read it myself. Like, where that stuff come from? And you'd
Right.
be like, where that come from? Like, did you realize that? Like, it's how God uses us for set times, and just enjoy it and not try to indulge yourself in it. It's just like let God use you as He see fit, and you'd be
Mhm.
surprised what can come from it, and the people that actually can be touched by the things that you do. Yeah.
No, and I would tell you just for encouragement, just for me personally, it has been very uplifting for me. I mean, we're talking what 5 years, going on 6 years of
Mm-hmm.
constant text daily. When I wake up and there's a reminder of how amazing God is, how amazing Christ is, and then you got something motivation to go along with it, and just the time that for me, time is everything. That's the one resource we'll never ever get back. So I mean, it's taking
True.
you probably what 1, 2, 3 minutes to send out these texts that I'm on your mind enough that you're sending us out. So it has been very inspiring for me because I do it now with my sisters and I do it now with my app,
Yeah.
and I was inspired by what you were doing in my life, and it's something again, it's constant and consistent. And that's what we need more of, kindness and consistency. And that ties right into what our father said was to love thy neighbor as thyself and then love the Lord thy God. Being kind and being consistent, putting somebody else in front of you. And I tell you, it's been phenomenal. Nothing short of phenomenal. Keep doing it. I hope I continue to see that 910 pop up. It's in black, dark black. When I'm like, oh man, here it is. And I click on it. And that's the first thing I do in the morning is read that. And then I'll copy yours. And then I'll take it and I'll send it right to other people because it's
Yeah.
inspiring. Okay. And
Hmm.
that's, again, it's kindness, consideration, and it's time. And we're sharing that. So as far as
Yeah.
let's say your finances, how's everything looking? Is everything lining up with your finances as you're looking at this potential transition out of the military?
Yeah, I'm be honest with you, Dwayne. Like, when I thought I was gonna retire in 2020, before I mean 2019, I want to retire, and I thought that, man, I got my finance together, right? But going to SF Tap during the time, it gave me a realization of, am I really prepared to walk out the door?
Mm-hmm.
And by going through the transition class, it opened my eyes, and then luckily, uh, I got selected to go to the academy.
Right.
So I was in my mindset of, man, I'm about to retire, and and that was just another sign that God still was trying to get me to see things different.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that even though I was financially stable, I really wasn't. And by actually resetting, it gave me a better chance to readdress my finances, to be like, how do I actually want to walk out the door when I actually leave the military? So yeah, so right now where I'm at in my life, yeah. So if I was to lead the military today, I'd be good.
No, that's excellent.
Um,
That's
yeah,
excellent.
it'd be good. Yeah, and like I say, that time to reset actually really helped me to be able to reset and really take my life serious of thinking of almost 20 years in, and like, a lot of people don't think about that. Like, a career go by so fast, and be like, what have you really truly financially saved? And what I looked at it like, early in my career, I spent a lot of money on a lot of things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then when you look back, like, where did that stuff go? Money thrown away that you don't remember the stuff that you bought. So it made me start to be a little bit more cautious, or spending your money more wisely on stuff that you spending money on stuff that you didn't really need was actually a waste of money. So cut back on that and real focus on not just today, but years down the road of how do you financially stable walking it up, because of truly coming up, nobody really told me actually, hey, this is how you save money. And it's an educational thing. And that's what I do with my kids. I sit them down, we go through the little budget. and stuff like that to make them understand you don't have to throw your money away on everything that you see. Is being a good steward of your own money. So through my own lessons I've learned, you pass it on to your kids and be like, this is stuff that you want to be successful in life. And you don't look at it right now. You look at 20, 30 years down the road that you don't really think about where you're going to be years down the road. Like, no one really never told me, because the place I came from, one traffic light in the town, no one really, everybody knew everybody, and money was not a big thing back then, and being financial stable really wasn't in my upbringing. So I've learned over the years how to conserve and actually understand the value of having financial freedom, and understanding that, hey, you can you have a life after the fact. So you can choose to live it hard going through, or after the fact, you can live a whole lot more comfortable. So, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh man, that's great. That is excellent feedback. And then, let's say soldiers coming in, because as a civilian now, I hear different things about it's hard to recruit, hard to get people. Going forward, like if a person wanted to join the military right now, what would you say to them? If they were thinking about it.
I would tell them, like, if you don't have anything else going on in your life right now, the military actually is basically give you some kind of foundation, to be honest with you. And you don't have to do 20 years or whatever it is, but it gives you some kind of stability to give you a platform or a foundation of how do I build going forward. And the military is not favored by it, but the military gives you that opportunity that you probably never would have gotten if you stayed in the same place. And you get to see different things, you meet different people along the way, and you'd be surprised how much you actually learn as you progress in the military. And I can go back to my time in the Marine Corps when I first went in back in the 90s. And racism was a real thing, but it was the guys from like Ohio or whatever it is. They say they never was around people of color, because they were so inundated from their town where they came from, that they was not exposed to a person like myself, a person of color, whatever it is, outside of their normal surrounding. So by coming in the military, you get exposed to different walks of life and different people that you would probably never met if you had stayed in I call that bubble that some people try to keep their kids in, or and that not let them get exposed to other things, to see what the world actually have to offer. So the military is like I call the military a big melting pot. I've met so many different people throughout my military career, and it teaches you to learn from other people also. It gives you that ability to understand a person of a different ethnic background or upbringing. How did that actually help you to actually better yourself? Right. It makes you more open-minded versus I'm just a one-track person and this is all I see. So the military is a great place, and I would tell anybody, hey, if you don't have a sure thing going to college or whatever it is, the military is probably the next best thing to go into. It can be a career,
or a foundation, like you said. It gives you a great starting point. And looking back at the last 30 years, if you could change something, what would you do different?
Dwayne, I usually often get that same question. I probably wouldn't change nothing. Because of through everything that I had experienced and endured through my military career has got me where I'm at today.
Amen.
And it makes me a better person for who I am. So, it's never a straight line. There's those pitfalls and whatever. And how do you actually come back from those things? If I had a career that I never experienced any setbacks or any difficulties, I probably wouldn't even be in this position today. I mean, because I probably screwed it up, or whatever it is. But like I said, I probably wouldn't change anything in my career. because I probably wouldn't be in the position that I am today. You know, I know some people like, oh yeah, you probably should change ABs. No, everything that I've did over my 30+ years, you know, it's nothing I really would actually change.
No, I mean,
Going
that's
forward.
a good
Yeah.
thing. I mean, because it's a journey. And on every journey, you know, if you're in an ocean and if you're steering a
Yeah.
little bit to the right, keep steering a little bit to the right, in a couple of hours, you're going to turn all the way around. You're going to end up right back where you were in the first place. So just stay on this, you know, I would say the journey
Yeah.
that you were on, the path, has brought you right where you need to be. You know, one of your biggest struggles, like you said at the beginning, was humility, and you stay humble. Because as a command sergeant major, you're one of one.
Hmm.
You're the only one. You're the only one who can exist in both realms as an officer and as a non-commissioned officer. You're the only person in that organization that actually can do that, where you have an ear to the commander, and that trust, there has to be a level of trust between you two, because that individual will fail miserably if they don't trust you, because you can tear the whole organization apart easily. And so luckily for him and for yourself that you look at humility as a superpower, because humility will bring
Yeah.
you into a place of success. Not patting yourself on the back, not looking at your PT scores, not looking at how well you're doing, but you're gauging your lifestyle, how well you're doing based on the lifestyle and the quality of life of your soldiers that are around you. So that's great that you truly understand that, and that's how you're going to move forward. So listen, it has been a pleasure.
Yeah.
It has been awesome, and like I said, I appreciate you. I appreciate the messages every day. I feel like I get a chance to talk to you every day, because you're always throwing a message at me. You're always giving me a message every day. Keep doing what you're doing, and let's stay in touch. And with that, is there anything else you want to share before we jump off?
Sure, Dwayne. I appreciate it. For just me, man, when I reflect back on my call in my life, it began one thing, and that was putting God first. And when we are willing to set aside everything else, He's able to use us and make God our priority. And He began to actually reveal why we are called to serve Him in the first place. And we do wrestle with our flesh, man. But I do appreciate God continue to be, you know, the head of my life and allow me to be the person that I am and staying humble. Um, and I appreciate this opportunity that you gave me to be on your platform. I appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely. And like you said, and like we both said, it's a constant. Having Christ in your life is a constant. He's going to be there no matter what, good, bad, or indifferent. It's like having a good leader. It's like having a good command sergeant major. No matter what those soldiers do, like sexual assault or drugs, two of the biggest charges in the military, you said, hey, we take it and we look at each case individually. There's not cookie cutter. That's important. That's powerful. And that's the same thing. That's a guiding light that people know that they're going to be looked at fairly and equitably across the board. That's very important. That is impacting. So continue to do that, man. And I see great things in your future. Keep sending me my messages, because at this point, I'm addicted to them. I need my messages every day, brother. So I definitely appreciate that. I appreciate you.
I, pre- I appreciate it, man.
All right. So with that, hey, listen, thank you all for joining us today. I hope you got something from the message, and let's continue to get that financial freedom. Let's find out what our purpose is, and let's lean into that purpose from God. Okay. Have a great day. God bless, and take care.